Welcome to our podcast. We're grateful to have you here. I'm Dustin.
And I'm Tonya.
And we are on episode number 1. This is our first go at it.
Yes.
We are on a new venture. We are trying something new. And so, welcome.
Welcome. We are so grateful to have you here, like Dustin said. And I think that we just want to first start off by introducing who we are so you get to know us a little bit better before we kind of dive into other things. So, to start out, I am Tonya, and a little bit about me is I grew up in a small town. I am a country girl at heart, and I grew up with all boys. I have one older brother, and then the rest were all boy cousins, so I was always out fishing, playing in the dirt, playing paintball. Whatever it was, I had a really good time. I grew up with a bunch of farm animals, which peacocks were one of the things. I got some beautiful earrings that I made from that as a beautiful reminder. And just kind of growing up, I wasn't much into sports, but I was a cheerleader at heart. I was a cheerleader all 4 years in high school. Absolutely loved it. Was on the dance team. And then I went to college straight after. Didn't quite work out how I expected it to. So I dropped out, and then I took a job at a prison, a maximum security prison, where I worked there for a really long time. It was like 9 years. And then I decided to put myself back through school. I went to become a surgical tech, so I got my associate's applied science degree, which I was the first person in my family to actually graduate from college. So that was a pretty big deal for me. And then after that, I got certified to be a nutrition and fitness coach, which is what I am currently. And now I'm a creator as well, making my own jewelry with my brand, The Tonya Johnson, and I'm just really loving life right now.
I love that. And I'm Dustin, and this is my beautiful wife, and I'm grateful to be doing life with her. And ultimately, this is why we're here today, is to talk about marriage, to talk about the things that we've experienced and to go through things. But first and foremost, I was born in Yankton, South Dakota. I lived there a couple of years, but ultimately, like Tonya, I grew up in Nebraska. She grew up more of the family, small town thing, and I grew up in a little bit bigger of a city, nothing crazy like 35,000. But I was full-fledged sports. I mean, I played every freaking sport you could imagine from A to Z. If it had a ball or a racket or wheels or something, you could probably find me upside down or inside out on it. I truly just every waking moment was running or jumping or flying or doing something. And so I played, club soccer, football, basketball, all the way up, growing up. Didn't do much outdoor stuff as far as like hiking and camping and things like that. We did do some fishing growing up, but nothing really crazy there. We were literally a sports family. And growing up, man, I'm telling you, every weekend was some contest, some tournament, some either for my sister. I had one sister who was older. She was either at a tournament for her stuff, or we were at a tournament for my stuff, or both of us were playing in the same tournament. And so ultimately, those were a lot of our vacations and trips, and that was the things that we did was along the way was played sports. About halfway through high school, I actually gave up on sports and kind of started doing my own thing and got a job, started working, making some money, and I really got into like hot rods and motorcycles and lowrider trucks and things like that. And I've been a builder since then. I've always tooled on things and built things, and ultimately I built one of our houses that we'll talk about here in a little bit. But I just really hands-on, really creative, like you said, just in a different realm. We have different creative spaces, and it's been really fun to even develop that together and as individuals. But ultimately, I went to college for welding. I went to college for heating and air conditioning. I went to college for psychology. I went to college for, as you can see, I never can figure out exactly what I wanted to do in life. But when I do something, I go for it. And ultimately, I ended up working for the railroad, building bridges for 13 full years. And along the way, I got certified in nutrition and fitness, and ultimately, we started a company together. We started a couple companies together, coaching online nutrition and fitness, and it's some of what we do today. I'm actually coaching out of a gym as well, but ultimately, fitness became our thing, and it's been pretty rad. but it hasn't always been that way, and we'll get to that in a little bit. But ultimately, Tonya and I were blessed.
Yes.
Her parents have been married
Just, I think, 41 years.
Yeah, and in November, my parents have been married 50 years. So from a young age, we both had an understanding that no matter the season or no matter the weather, you had to fight, and marriage was forever.
Yeah, there was no doubt in my mind that marriage didn't work out. Like, just from the role model of my parents, that, like you said, that you just, whatever happens, it didn't matter. Like, marriage was forever, and that was always instilled in me.
Yeah.
To always put marriage first.
Yeah.
And fight for it no matter what.
Yeah, and ultimately, like, trust me, we'll be sharing some of our hiatuses and stuff, and it wasn't always perfect. And even like she said, like, there was a point where she hated me, but she loved me. And like, you know, we've been down through some of that. But ultimately, we've been together 14 years now. And in June, we will have been, on June 13th, we will have been married 13 freaking years.
Woo!
So that's very exciting for us.
It
It's
is.
something that really humbles me, and I have really become appreciative after a lot of the stuff that we've been through. You know, it's hindsight's 2020. It's really helped bring revelation to me just how important our marriage is, and kind of the calling that we have on our lives, and to help with marriage and things like that. So first and foremost, man, the first 4, 5, 6, 7 years of our marriage was pretty rough.
It was rough. I honestly want to say, though, that it was rough, but it was like, in a sense, like, I was almost like naive to what was going on, because I felt our marriage was great.
Yeah, because we were almost too young to even understand what was happening, or maybe we were too high, or maybe we were too drunk, or maybe it was just happening too fast, that it just wasn't, it wasn't terrible. Like, ultimately, we look back now, we're like, man, how did we make it through?
How did we make it?
But ultimately, we thought we had a good marriage then, and so we experienced some disease. We experienced. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was diagnosed with a disease called endometriosis, which put a lot of strain on our relationship, and it resulted in a hysterectomy when I was 26. So that was kind of a battle that we had to overcome and face.
Together. We were married at that point.
Yeah.
And I got addicted to prescription pills along the way, and there was drinking and women and drugs and all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
And ultimately, the one thing that we've always said, man, is just keep going.
It is.
Didn't matter how deep or how dark, we just kept going. And sometimes we kept digging, like, farther down. And sometimes we kept going, trying to get up. Like, there was no rules, we just kept going.
Yeah.
And so the first part of our marriage was a lot of hardship. And the second half of our marriage, not that it hasn't had hardship, but we've done a lot of rebuilding and restoring and replenishing our marriage, replenishing our love. And ultimately it comes to, it's like fine wine. The older we get, the more we understand, the more we learn. Like, I'm 37 now, she's about to turn 36. And ultimately, like, we are literally getting better by the day.
Yeah.
And it's from experience.
It is from experience, and a lot of it was learning to really date each other again. To figure out how to actually love one another again. Because for the first part of our marriage, Dustin worked for the railroad, so he was gone all the time, and we only saw each other on weekends. So that was something we had to navigate as well, on top of the other hardships we were facing. So on the second half of our relationship, we got to a point where we actually got to spend time together.
How did we do that?
And we did that because we sold everything that we owned and decided to travel the country together. And so that was us having an opportunity to be with each other all the time and learn about each other and love each other. And
it was either make it or break it. Like, ultimately, when we sold all of our stuff, it was the perfect opportunity for us to get to know each other, regrow and rebuild our love for each other, date each other, see things that was fun together. And ultimately, she came on the road with me, and we still traveled with the railroad. And we seen, like 40 some states. We literally lived in and out of motels. We actually built a tiny home on wheels. We built a small school bus, and her and I literally built every piece of it. We traveled the whole country with that. We even went on tour with that with one of our fitness companies. We've done all kinds of stuff, but it took that level of commitment. It took that level of choosing to do life together, where we were willing to sell everything that we had. We were willing to give it another shot. We were willing to keep going no matter the price, as long as we could do it together.
Yeah.
And ultimately, like, I'm a best-selling author solo-y. We're a best-selling authors together with one of our nutrition books. Like, we have learned to do life together, and that what really sets us apart.
Yeah, for sure. I think that has been the biggest key component in our marriage, is working as a team together in everything. And like you said, like, we do everything together. So we build a business together, we work out together, we do everything together, and that has been a huge dynamic piece.
Yeah, so by no means are we saying that we're freaking experts, but when you look up wisdom in the dictionary, the first explanation of it is experience. And man, we've had some freaking experience. Some are good, some are bad, but it's all been experience, and it's helped us build. And ultimately today, we're passionate to bring our experience and help other couples in marriage, in becoming your best version of yourself, developing your individual before you can even develop as a couple is extremely important. So coaching and mentoring is something, breathing life into other people, it truly is what sets our souls on fire, and we believe we have a calling on our lives for that. And so when we were traveling, we had the opportunity to run a couple masterminds and really kind of get into some rooms with some couples and really dive into some of the, how can I parent better? How can I, work on myself better? How can I take ownership for the things that I've done? How can we start dating again? How can we get through things like disease or debt? And those were the things, like, when tears are rolling and the cameras are turned off and people are being real and raw and vulnerable, that's what sets us on fire. And so having that opportunity is super rad.
Yeah, for sure. Like you said, the mastermind events, I think that was what that first point when we really realized, like, wow, there's a need for this, and we have a deep passion to help people, because it's that ultimate feeling, for me at least, like when I see couples come together and work something out that they've been struggling with, and it ultimately fixes their relationship tenfold, it's like, wow, like that just gives me like this feel-good feeling. It's like, I want to do more of that.
Yeah, and so ultimately she's talking about serving. And so the coolest part of some of our travels and some of our running around and some of our craziness is Tonya and I actually started our walk with God. And we actually, you ain't gonna believe this, but we got baptized together. We found God together, and today we're very plugged into the church. We're very plugged into the community and things like that, and we just absolutely are on fire to serve others and help God and advance the kingdom of God, and we believe that that's part of our calling. So today you find us planted for once. For today, not sure about tomorrow, but we're in Frisco, Texas, and we are on a freaking mission to help others and in any way that we can serve others and ultimately be our best. And when I look at marriage, I've seen a lot of coaching and mentoring in the marriage department, and they're amazing. Like, they got 40 years or 50 years or 60 years of marriage. I was just reading an article today that they took the last 400 best marriages in the country, and all of them were 65 years and older, and that's great. They've been married 40 plus years, and that is so awesome, and I'm so grateful for that. But I don't feel like my 68-year-old mother could help me at year 13 of marriage today. The times have changed, the actions have changed, the possibilities have changed. And so I believe that we're going to bridge the gap from 0 years marriage to maybe 20 years or 30 years of marriage to, there's already the 40-year marriage coaches and things like that. So being able to bridge that gap where the things that are happening today with social media and the worldly views and the happenings all around the world, we're a lot more connected in and have more experience in them situations to be able to help cope and work through the things that are available to us today.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's because, we're right here in the trenches doing the work right along, because we're still facing things today, and we can bring that to the forefront. And so that's what we really want to do, and what we feel called to do is just to help couples and help bridge that gap. So this is our first podcast episode, and we hope that you enjoyed it so much. We want to ask you, what are some things that you would like to hear us talk on, or what are some things that are topics of discussion you would like to know about? and we would love to bring that in for you guys.
So if you guys would like to follow us on Instagram, we have started an Instagram account called My Story, Her Story, His Story, because there's 3 sides to every story.
Yes, there
My story, her story, and God's story. So together, we're going to share our stories with you guys. We're going to be real, we're going to be raw, we're going to be vulnerable, and we're ultimately going to try to help as many couples and as many individuals as we can with this podcast and with some of our coaching and mentoring. So we look forward to having you guys come along with us. Please feel free to reach out. We would love to engage with you and start to grow with you and help you in any way you see fit. So with that,
Thank you guys for watching.
have a blessed day.